This pandemic time has been a time of disruption on so many levels. Our interrupted schedules have made new spaces of time, offering us opportunities to fill those times with something new. New spaces offer us time to look inward and reflect on what is happening around us and how we make sense of it. The public unrest with the death of George Floyd and the shooting of Jacob Blake moved thousands into peaceful protests around the world and raised the profile of Black Lives Matter. All this opened my eyes and caused me to ask myself, what do I not know about myself? And what do I do not know about you? Hello, I'm Ron Crocker, a retired priest from the Diocese of Virginia. I serve as a fill-in for the clergy at All Saints in Worcester, and I'm happy to be here today to share this reflection with you. What do I not know about myself, and what do I not know about you? I remember as a young man trying to learn as much as I could about how to effectively run a parish. As a newly ordained deacon, I was one of several who met monthly with our bishop to explore the role of the deacon in the church. Beyond the liturgical role on Sunday mornings, there were opportunities associated with the traditional role of the deacon as a bridge between the church and the world and the church. We deacons were to serve the world as we applied our skills and gifts to the work of the church in whatever setting we found ourselves. This was pretty heady stuff for a 24-year-old who had spent all but 5 years of his life in school. I was now in the world, deployed to serve God's church, offering my skills, gifts, and spirit. Heady stuff indeed. As a deacon, I was assigned to St. Paul's Church in Brockton, Massachusetts. I had been placed there for about 2 months when the rector took me to the Brockton Clergy Association for a meeting over lunch. There were about 30 clergy of a variety of denominations there. And I got to sit at table with a Methodist pastor who had the church just down the street from St. Paul's. During lunch, he asked me, "Ron, what brought you to Brockton?" I immediately replied, "I'm here to save this part of God's kingdom." He said to me, "Jesus did that already. What's your plan B?" Because of his keen insight and caring response, I learned an important life lesson and have been working on Plan B for over 50 years. While at St. Paul's, I was invited to join the Diocesan Parish Consultant Group working in parish development. The group met monthly for training and reporting on what we were doing and what challenges we faced as a diocese. I was fascinated with the work and loved the supportive learning community. This was in the late 1960s and early 70s, a time of change and transitions. In one of our quarterly training sessions, I learned about feedback. Feedback was a discipline of asking others to share what they heard you say and comment on what they saw you do, all with the goal of improving communications and one's presence. This helped me better understand the impact of what I was saying and how I said it. It also made me more aware of how my physical presence affected what people heard and perceived. I got to learn more about Ron Crocker. In a 4-day training session on interpersonal behavior, so 1960s, I learned a life lesson that still applies today. 2 of us were leading a group of some 15 people in an exercise in offering feedback. A young woman and I were leading the exercise and were about to begin. She was in her early 30s, 5'5" tall, a director of drug rehabilitation agency in Connecticut. She was well credentialed. She said to me, "Ron, let's try something. When we call the class to begin, let me go first to see what will happen. And then you follow up with your call to get started." I said, "Okay." We moved to the front of the class. and she said to those milling about following our coffee break, "Class, let's get started. Could I have your attention, please?" Hardly anyone moved. She turned to me and said, "Okay, Ron, it's your turn." I said, "People, let's get started and get underway." Everyone moved to a seat and the room quieted. She said to me, "That's the difference between a 5'5" woman and a 6'4" white male. What do I not know about myself, and what do I not know about you?" Over the past month, I learned a great deal about what I do not know about you. With the death of George Floyd and the shooting of Jacob Blake, I've learned more and more about the lives of Black people. I have seen thousands risk their personal health to peacefully protest the actions of the police in Minneapolis and Kenosha. The issues of Black-white interaction raised are not new. They've been part of our country for hundreds of years. What is new for me is to see and hear people of color tell the world that they are scared. They are tired of being ill-treated, tired of a double standard. Well, I knew this before, but I did not know how pervasive and deep these feelings went. When strong public people like LeBron James and Coach Doc Rivers tell their stories with tears in their eyes and trembling voices, I heard something new, something deeper, something basic to human life. They said that they feared for their lives, and they feared for the lives of their children, especially their sons. Doc Rivers said about Black people, and I quote, "It's amazing why we keep loving this country, and this country doesn't love us back. It's really so sad." Or to hear Chadwick Boseman of Black Panther at the SAG Awards say, and I quote, "To be young, gifted, and Black, we all know what it is like to be told that there's no place for you to be featured. Yet you are young, gifted, and Black." Finally, Rebecca Taussig, in a recent Time magazine essay on inclusion, writes this: "Because listening to voices that are typically silenced brings to the table nuance, endurance, creativity, beauty, innovation, and power." I connected to that because when my son moved back east from California in this June, he was to live in our condo while we were away and drive our car until his car arrived. Our adopted son is mixed racial Black. To better ensure his safety, I wrote to my neighbors to tell them he was going to be living in our condo and driving our cars. I also wrote a letter to the Uxbridge police with his picture attached, and personally delivered it to the police headquarters to better ensure his safety. They thanked me and said that they would post it on their bulletin board. Our son appreciated my work, recognizing that he is a Black man in America. What do I not know about myself, and what do I not know about you? Why am I writing this? I am writing an invitation to know more about what you think and feel about people of color. I'm writing an invitation to encourage you to listen more closely to family and friends as they share what they see happening around them. I invite you to invite them to say more. Tell me more about what you're thinking and questioning. If you're close to people in color, invite them to tell you their stories, their concerns, so you can, and this is important, so you can find ways to ease their pain and their fear. Sometimes just listening is a great help. Finally, if you are white, know how privileged we are. You may not know just how privileged you are, and as I discovered in being 6'4" white male, do take the time and energy to discover it, and then act. Find ways of using your new knowledge and insights to close the gaps around us, to find ways of extending privilege, find ways of combating systemic racism, find ways that matter. Because listening to voices that are typically silenced brings to the table nuance, endurance, creativity, beauty, innovation, and power. Thank you.